What if women's empowerment was the key to solving a host of other social problems? Well, that's what Emmeline Pankhurst, an early suffragette activist, believed. And we're going to talk about it. So, Emmeline Pankhurst never trafficked in half measures. When she declared, "We have to free half of the human race, the women, so that they can help to free the other half," she wasn't offering a slogan. She was issuing a political diagnosis and a warning. A society that keeps women in chains, she argued, is a society that has already chosen to live with injustice. The only question is how long it will tolerate the consequences. Born in 1858 to a Manchester family steeped in radical politics, Pankhurst grew up absorbing arguments about liberty and reform as easily as other children learned nursery rhymes. Her marriage to Richard Pankhurst, a lawyer who championed women's rights, only sharpened her political instincts. But it was her work in a Manchester workhouse after his death that transformed her. There she saw the brutal machinery of poverty up close: starving children, exhausted laborers, women punished for the crime of being poor. She understood immediately that these were not isolated tragedies. They were symptoms of a political system designed without women's voices, and therefore without women's priorities. By 1903, after decades of polite petitions and parliamentary indifference, Pankhurst had lost patience. She founded the Women's Social and Political Union with her daughters, Christabel and Sylvia, adopting a motto that would electrify Britain: deeds, not words. The WSPU grew rapidly, fueled by women who were done waiting for permission to be heard. They marched, they spoke, they were arrested. They refused to apologize. When peaceful tactics failed yet again, the movement escalated. By 1905, suffragettes were disrupting Liberal Party meetings and turning their arrests into political theater. When even that failed to move the parliament, the WSPU embraced more confrontational tactics: window smashing, hunger strikes, arson against empty buildings, actions Pankhurst defended as a just war. She pointed out that British men had won their own political rights through disruption and at times violence. Why should women be held to a different standard of docility than the very men denying them the vote? This is the context in which her famous quote must be understood. Pankhurst wasn't simply arguing that women deserved equality. She was arguing that women's liberation was the missing engine of social progress. Women voters, she believed, would fight child labor, improve working conditions, challenge slum housing, and push for reforms that men, ground down by their own industrial exploitation, had been unable or unwilling to secure. Women's freedom, in her view, was not a special interest. It was the key to freeing everyone else from the social and economic cruelties she had witnessed firsthand. Her critics accused her of extremism. She countered that extremism in the defense of humanity by saying that it was no vice. And history proved her right. The suffragettes' relentless pressure, combined with women's indispensable labor during World War I, forced the government to concede partial suffrage in 1918. Full voting equality followed in 1928, just weeks before Pankhurst passed away. Her legacy remains contested. Was she a heroic disruptor or a polarizing radical? But the impact of her strategy is undeniable. She understood something that still unsettles the powerful today. Marginalized people rarely win rights by asking nicely. They win them by refusing to be ignored. In an era when democratic backsliding, gender backlash, and political intimidation are on the rise, Pankhurst's message lands with renewed force. Freeing women is not a niche project. It is a democratic imperative. A society that silences half of its population cannot call itself free. And a society that empowers women expands the horizon of freedom for everyone. Pankhurst's challenge echoes across the century. Liberation is a collective endeavor. No half can be free while the other remains bound.